Hey, I'm Mr. James from Charm City Karate. Most of you out there have probably seen my video by now, the Dirty Kenpo versus BJJ. It's caused quite a stir, which is funny because it's been up for a long time before anybody noticed it. And everybody's upset about it for what to me is no reason at all. We'll get to all that. The reason I'm doing this is because I met a BJJ guy the other day. He actually came to the studio to talk to me. He showed up, came in very respectful, which is very cool. That's one of the things I've always liked about martial arts, is that martial artists are respectful. And there's always kind of like a brotherhood to martial arts. So he came in and he said, you know, I wanted to ask you about that video. And I said, okay. He said, why don't you like BJJ? And I said, you know, that's not true. I said, I do like BJJ. It's just not my preference. It's not how I want to defend myself. And I explained some of the reasons for that. I said, but you know, if you watch the whole video, I talk about that. I said, in fact, if you watch some of my other videos, you know, I talk about the good parts of BJJ and the good parts of karate. I'll talk about the bad parts of BJJ and the bad parts of karate. Every martial art to me has its place. It's just finding that place and using it in its place. So he said, oh, okay, I get that. And, you know, so we talked about that. He had some other questions. I answered those. And, you know, at the end, I asked him if he taught Jiu Jitsu. And he said, yeah. I said, you know, what would be great for me, really, is if you would come out here and teach a seminar to my students, because I would really like them to get more exposure to it. You know, over the years, the exposure I've had has been at seminars and stuff like that. So it would be nice if we had somebody local that could come in and teach them once in a while. So he said that'd be good. So here's what I think the problem has been with that video. And maybe I didn't express myself correctly in the video. The idea of the video was completely unfair. It was street martial art versus sport martial art. Okay? Street tactics, karate versus sport tactics, jiu-jitsu. I could have made the same video, street tactics, jiu-jitsu versus sport tactics, karate. Would have been just as unfair and just as one-sided. I mean, you take street tactics, jiu-jitsu versus sport tactics, karate, flying back knuckle, shuffle, karate kick, that stuff you see in tournaments. It's going to be just as ridiculous and one-sided. It was taken totally out of context, and maybe it was my fault. The point I was trying to make is, people that practice a sport part of a martial art, that try to take that and say, oh, I could just use this in the street, aren't really being realistic. Any more than somebody that practices a combative martial art and say, oh, I could just use this in a sport, are being realistic. You can't take the stuff that they teach you in the Marine Corps and go to the Battle of Baltimore and win, because you're going to get disqualified, like instantly. You're going to run over there, you're going to punch somebody in the face, break his nose, and while that's good in a real fight, they're going to DQ you and you're going to go home. Thanks for your money, you lose. Okay? One thing that really disappointed me in all of this hubbub that's happened with this video is there's been a lot of loss of what I consider the martial spirit in people's response. Now, you think I'm stupid? That's cool. You think I'm wrong? That's cool. Maybe I am. That's fine. The way you perceive it, I could be wrong. Maybe I am wrong. That's fine. Calling me names, threatening to kill me, talking about challenging me for $10,000, all that kind of stuff, ridiculous. Why does it upset you so much? And why do you have to go to such an extreme? You're losing your mind. You know what happens when somebody says, Kenpo is garbage to me? I go, well, whatever. I know it's not true. I move on. My thought process goes, oh, they don't understand Kenpo? And I keep going. It's like if somebody came up to me and they said, the earth is flat. I don't go, oh my God, you're so stupid, I'll get you. Why? Because I know the earth's not flat. Move on. This guy that came to visit me, this jiu-jitsu guy, he wasn't freaking out. He wasn't losing his mind. He wasn't like, yeah, man, I'm here to show you that you're wrong. He wanted to know where I was coming from. Like, dude, what are you thinking? And then when I explained to him what I was thinking, he went, oh, I see. So what you were saying was this, but it sounded like what you were saying was this. I said, oh, okay, all right. Because that happens sometimes, all right, when you're having a discussion or an argument. Sometimes you say A, and people hear B, and they say, dude, you're crazy. So you have to keep that in mind when you're having a discussion or an argument with somebody, is that what you're saying to them isn't always what they hear. So every now and then, it's a good idea to say, I said A. Did you hear A? So that they can go, no, dude, I didn't hear A. I heard B. And you go, oh, dude, B? No, not B. A. Now, given that this is kind of a one-way medium, it doesn't work so good. I can't stop and say, I said A. Did you hear A? But that's cool. Most of the time, the message gets across the way I intended, but obviously not always. That's all right, too. Gives me a chance to come back and tell you guys like this, hey, I meant A. If you didn't hear A, I'm sorry. I meant A. You heard B? I didn't mean B. We'll move on now. So keep that in mind. Make sure that before you freak out, you heard what you meant, what was meant to be said, and why would you lose your mind over something like that anyway? All right? Remember, you're a martial artist. Be proud, be respectful, and don't act stupid. All right? It's kind of embarrassing. So anyway, I'm Mr. James from Charm City Karate. I'll see you next time.